Paul Simon hated her the most out of everyone else. He was born in Newark, New Jersey, on October 13th, 1941. His full name is Charles Paul Simon. Simon grew up in the Queens neighborhood of New York City. There, he heard many urban sounds that inspired his songwriting, such as Latin rhythms, doo-wop harmonies, and folk tales. Louis Simon, his father, was a skilled musician and college teacher. Belle Simon was his mother, and she taught. Paul grew up surrounded by music. As a child, he was writing songs that were influenced by famous artists like Elvis Presley and the Carter family. He became one of America's best vocal storytellers because he loved rhythm and lyrics as a child. Before Simon became famous on his own, he started the famous band Simon and Garfunkel with his childhood friend Art Garfunkel. After meeting in grade school, they started performing together as Tom and Jerry in the 1950s. That year, Hey Schoolgirl, their first moderate hit, came out. They were both still in their teens. Simon and Garfunkel didn't become famous around the world until the middle of the 1960s. Garfunkel's heavenly harmonies and Paul Simon's thoughtful words made a sound that was instantly recognizable and a good reflection of the times. Several songs, including Homeward Bound, Scarborough Fair, The Sound of Silence, and Bridge Over Troubled Water, have been influential for many years. They talked about both personal feelings and bigger changes in society. Simon was one of the most famous sounds of the 1960s because of the unique way he mixed poetry and music. Simon and Garfunkel broke up in 1970 when they were at the top of their game. Paul Simon then went on to have a solo career that made him even more famous as a singer. Some of the best songs on his self-titled record from 1972 were Mother and Child Reunion and Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. These songs showed that he was interested in the sounds of world music from a young age. During the 1970s, Simon continued to grow and change by trying out gospel, jazz, reggae, folk, and other types of music. Many Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, were given to him for songs like Still Crazy After All These Years, 1975, which got good reviews. As he got older, his music got better, showing a wider range of feelings and a clear sense of humor. Not many artists were able to mix sadness and fun as well as he did. Simon may have made his most famous and risky artistic choice when he published Graceland in 1986. Popular music will never sound the same again after hearing this song. The music was made in South Africa during the time of apartheid. It mixed Simon's folk pop style with the lively harmonies and African beats of South African singers. His choice to record there caused a lot of political trouble, but Graceland became a worldwide hit and is now seen as one of the most important albums of the 20th century. Many people in the West first heard South African music through songs like You Can Call Me Al and Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes. Songs are like a global language that help people from different cultures talk to each other. The album won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year and is thought to be one of Simon's best works. Over the next few decades, Paul Simon kept improving his skill. Later works, like Stranger to Stranger, 2016, You're the One, 2000, and The Rhythm of the Saints, 1990, showed that he was a busy artist who wasn't afraid to try new things. He kept the melodies that made him famous, but he also tried out digital sounds, Brazilian percussion, and words with a lot of detail. Simon's live shows were just as compelling, combining comedy, modesty, and great artistic skill. No matter how big the crowd was, he kept a closeness that made each song feel very personal. Simon has done great things in many areas besides music. He has made important advances to culture and to helping people. He has long backed causes that help education, kids' health, and protecting the earth. People see him as an artist who uses his fame for good because he takes part in projects to raise knowledge about the world and puts on benefit concerts. Simon songs, which often talk about love, loss, faith, and the search for meaning, show that he has a deep understanding of what it means to be human. His music has helped millions of people around the world feel better and find motivation. Fans have always been interested in Paul Simon's love life because of how talented he was as an artist and the women he loved. Every one of them marked a new step in his growth as a man and a performer. In the years after his first marriage to Peggy Harper, Simon married actress Carrie and and then singer-songwriter Edie Brickell. Simon's feelings were very complicated and deep because each connection had its own unique ideas, challenges, and good times. It was Peggy Harper who was his first wife. When she first met him, he was at the top of his game with Simon and Garfunkel. When they got married in 1969, Paul Simon was already known as one of the best guitarists of his time. Over the course of Simon's career, the couple stayed together through the good times and bad. Their love for each other inspired some of his most moving songs. Harper was sophisticated and smart. She worked in marketing. She went well with Simon's quiet personality. In 1972, a boy named Harper Simon was born to them. He would like to be a musician like his father. But as Paul Simon's fame and artistic goals grew, the demands of his work made their relationship more difficult. After 6 years of marriage, they got a divorce in 1975, which was very hard for Simon. Few songs by him are as creepy as Still Crazy After All These Years, which he wrote after a breakup. This song about self-reflection and mental growth showed how he felt about his grief and longing. Harper and Simon kept in touch through their son after they got divorced, and Simon often talked about how important the years they spent together were in his own life. His wedding to Carrie Fisher in 1983 was one of the most famous events in his life. In movies and books, Fisher is best known for her part as Princess Leia in Star Wars. Fame put a lot of stress on their relationship, which was sometimes tense and unpredictable. Simon and Fisher dated on and off for a few years before they got married. People thought that both of them were very smart and caring. Even though they were only married for a year, that didn't make it any less important to them. Fisher, who was honest and funny, pushed Simon in ways that not many people could. Being friends with each other made them both more artistic. She wrote about Simon in her partly autobiographical book Postcards from the Edge. Simon got ideas for songs like Hearts and Bones from their troubled relationship. A lot of people see the title song from his 1983 record with the same name as a metaphor for their love. This piece of poetry is about two 1½ wandering Jews who are trying to find peace in the middle of chaos. Simon and Fisher stayed friends after their divorce in 1984. After that, they allegedly got back together for a short time and stayed close friends until her death in 2016. Simon is said to have said that Fisher was smart, funny, and full of life, but that a song could break her heart. Singer-songwriter Edie Brickell, whose band Edie Brickell and New Bohemians made a big hit with the song What I Am, was Paul Simon's real love. When Brickell was on Saturday Night Live in 1988, that's when they met for the first time. As Simon watched, her words and presence caught his attention right away. His marriage to her in 1992 was the start of one of the longest-lasting relationships in his life. Even though they were 25 years apart in age, Simon and Brickell were both very interested in art and admired each other. Brickell gave Simon the depth and knowledge of a great songwriter, and Simon gave Brickell warmth, fun, and a sense of being young. They had 3 kids after they got married: Gabriel, Lulu, and Adrian. In addition to working together, they have been through the ups and downs of normal life and being famous together. On occasion, the two worked together on creative projects. The most notable record they made together was the Grammy-winning 2013 album Love Has Come For You, which mixed bluegrass and folk styles. It showed how well they got along as a couple. Even though Simon and Brickell have had problems in the past, like a short but public fight in 2014 that ended with both of them playing down the fight and proving their love for each other, they have stayed together. Simon's previous relationships were more troubled, but their marriage shows a mature, long-lasting love. As Simon got older and stopped moving less and less, Edie Brickell was his rock and a source of happiness and balance. Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel have worked together for a long time and done great things together. But behind the beautiful songs and words was a friendship that was hard and often terrible and ended after many years. Many famous songs of the 20th century were written by them together, such as Bridge Over Troubled Water, The Sound of Silence, and Scarborough Fair. However, neither man was able to fully get over the huge mental distance, anger, and jealousy that existed between them. According to Paul Simon, Art and I were like brothers in music, but brothers who could never agree. As kids in Queens, New York, in the 1950s, they became friends. Because they both wanted to be great singers, they played together as Tom and Jerry. Garfunkel's beautiful tenor voice went well with Simon's rhythm guitar and words. At first, it looked like a great relationship based on mutual respect and shared goals. But as Simon got better at writing songs and words, a small rivalry started to form. At last, Simon said, "I've always thought Art got too much credit for the sound that was really both of us. Even though I wrote the songs and created the music, I was always in the background." He felt that fear everywhere. As Simon and Garfunkel's fame grew in the late 1960s, their relationship broke up because of the stress of their success. There was a lot of trouble over Garfunkel's work in movies, especially in Catch, 22, and Carnal Knowledge. When Garfunkel put acting ahead of their music, Simon felt alone and lied to. Following many years, Simon said, "I felt like I was doing all the work while he was off being a movie star." The length of his departure wasn't the only thing that mattered. It was about loyalty. "I got the impression that he didn't value our things as much as I did." The Killing Blow was made while Bridge Over Troubled Water was being recorded. Even though it became their signature song, it was also the end of their career. Even though Simon wrote the song, he felt bad that he let Garfunkel sing the lead parts. Simon said in a sarcastic tone, "I gave him the song that defined us. At first, I thought we were a team, but after that, it felt like his song. Some people thought that I wrote it. At the time, I couldn't put into words how badly that hurt. It showed what Simon thought was the main problem in their relationship. Garfunkel's creativity always made him seem less important than his charm and voice." Their split in 1970 was terrible. Over the years, they got back together for concerts and other events, like their huge show in Central Park in 1981, but the tension stayed. He said, "It was the same thing that happened every time we tried to work together again. At first, we meant well, but old wounds never got better. It all came back to me. Ego fights and claims of guilt." In the same interview, Garfunkel was just as honest. He called Simon a monster of a little man. Simon, on the other hand, called Garfunkel an angel who sometimes forgot he was human. Their anger toward each other turned into something more like hate over time. At a rare moment of weakness, Simon once said, "I don't know that I ever hated anyone more. It's odd because I loved him more than most people I've ever met. But the sadness of what we lost was too much for us to handle." Garfunkel, on the other hand, called Simon a partner I can't forget and a friend I can't forgive. The irony of their relationship was that pride and ego caused it to fail, even though it was based on music that praised togetherness. The guys had a personal wall between them even after they were both well into their 70s. They didn't last long when they tried to get along. In public, they sometimes enjoyed each other's company, but Simon would always tell her, "We were never meant to be lifelong friends. We were meant to make music together. That was both good and bad for us." Simon has also said that Garfunkel, despite the pain, gave their music a special magic. Art sang them better than anyone else. That fact will always be important to me, no matter what else happened between us. In the end, the story of Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel is both beautiful and sad. They were a creative group that changed modern music and did a lot of damage to people's minds. Some people think Simon's anger came from the love he had for his wife. Their sounds could blend together, but their hearts would never be able to. Simon said, "The person who makes you write your best music is also the one who breaks your heart the most." They didn't just work together. They fought their whole lives between ego and brilliance, art and feeling, and loyalty and betrayal. For Paul Simon, the complicated mix turned into something darker over time. It was a feeling that could only be described as love turned into hate.